I heard myself. There really are some bad places in the world, and this really is not one of them. I know that. How do you know that? And if you don't think so, you're mistaken. The hypocrisy and the double standards is real. Oh, you can make all the promises you want, and then, you don't have to deliver on them. Yeah, I do think 34 felonies should bother you. Several kids from different women. I didn't come here to talk about any of that. Mainly, it's because Amazon sucks. Bananas, you can get hammers, and you can get an eagle's beak. I want them to do the job that they said they were going to do. Have you met Neighbors? It was probably the best smelling Amazon package I've had in a few years. It's A, but it's not I. Hear me out a second there, Bubba. Try and get my package to my house. No phrasing. If any of that sounds appealing to you, please head on over to YouTube and check it out.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations, Hard Rock Lunchbox. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you'd be watching the top 20. How's everybody today? There's going to be a hot and spicy June 20th, 2024. Yeah, that's where we're at. We are a day off from the solstice, which is just bananas to me. Like, I cannot believe that days are going to start getting shorter, like, by Saturday. Like, I mean, I always say that my days are long. Hey, come on. But, like, the days, like, the sunlight, like, it's such a good thing for us as humans to have. It's uplifting. Like, I'm not sure that I'm one that's ready to just start heading into the darkness again in December. It's tough when it's just dark inside and outside. You know what I mean? People get it. I get it. Let me just check, see if I'm streaming here. Yeah. Just want to make sure that we are absolutely when streaming. It's dark inside and out. All right, cool. I heard myself. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I heard myself, and that's important. So, we're there. It's the solstice on Friday, I guess. We have a show, because why not have a show on the longest, hottest day of the year? Last check of the weather I heard was that Friday is going to be somewhere between like 90 and 94 degrees or whatever, but it's going to have a real feel of Venus, so I guess dress appropriately. I do not wear shorts up on stage anymore. I know my band does. Kaz and Noodle do. It's a look that works for them, makes them look very Pantera, so I'm fine with it. But every time I've worn shorts on stage, I look ridiculous. So those of you that are fans of Revel 9 and their frontman sweating too much, you are in luck. It's going to be one of them days for sure. But, it's funny. I think the last time we played at Village Pub, it was snowing out. And I remember Noodle had said something when he set up his drums outside and then brought them in. They were just steaming from the change in temperature. I mean, it was a cool effect. Not really the best thing for your Zildjian cymbals, but it does lend itself to having a good story, don't it? We could go through some light housekeeping because why not? There's a new top 20 out. It's titled Back to Your Roots. It's episode 180 of this stupid show. And I do talk about how my resources are just, tapped. And it's kind of like what I had said the previous week on Life at a Simmer. We do talk about lack of safe spaces, Kaz riffs, No One Wants Tony in an Unplugged, Dancing with Crack, all those other good things. If any of that sounds appealing to you, please head on over to YouTube and check it out. Give it a like and subscribe. I'm behind on responses, but I'll probably be able to do that tomorrow and this weekend. Be able to catch up a little bit. I have dialed back some of the AI I've been doing because it doesn't really do much for me. So, I mean, I do enjoy it. I personally like doing it, so that seems to be the cap at which I'm going. I'm just not putting everything out anymore. I'm just letting it run, and there's a couple that look interesting to me. But you can find Hard Rock Lunchbox on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, I believe. I think it automatically posts to TikTok, so you can just check out those shorts. Shorts are always just fun because it's like I said before, like it's fun to watch just the AI pull out what it thinks is important, and just go from there. I have not done much with AI. I've only really experienced ChatGPT a couple of times, but from people I speak to that work in it and know it, like there was really some pretty impressive stuff that it can do, and I've been saying that I've been enjoying what it's been doing with my video for the top 20 in terms of what it's pulling out. It never gets the titles right. It always thinks Revel 9 is Rebel 9, and that's unfortunate because I just got too lazy to fix it every time. It's just not worth it to me, and I can't figure out how to teach them anything, so it doesn't much matter. I had very little to talk about. I was going to talk a little bit about the whole there was two things of note that I heard. Aside from, by the way, Willie Mays passed away. If you don't know who Willie Mays is, he's probably one of the greatest baseball players of all time. So he was like a first round MVP, not MVP, a Hall of Famer. It just super great guy. So hats off to you, Mr. Mays. Did a great job. But two pieces of, I guess, geopolitical anything that that made it to me this week, and I have not been paying attention. I've been swamped, actually. There's a new treaty between Russia and North Korea. It's a treaty of what do they call it? It's like mutual defense, but it basically says we get attacked. If one of them gets attacked, they're both attacked, and they both will respond and defend. It's not an uncommon kind of treaty. I mean, NATO is basically that, but I will say that is how the Axis formed in World War II. Yeah, not Russia, not North Korea, but it was, Germany and Italy, and then eventually Japan, like those mutual, defense treaties. Like that's how that stuff starts. And you might wonder why Russia would want a treaty with North Korea, and I don't even necessarily know what that is unless they're counting on North Korea to pick a fight, which is what concerned me immediately, because as soon as North Korea is like, oh, we got Russia on our side, now we can finally attack South Korea or whatever. But I don't know. It's just something to kind of keep an eye on. The other thing I saw was that I guess Biden did some sort of executive order or did something with the border or with immigration where he's going to allow illegal immigrants that are married to Americans apply for citizenship. So, to be perfectly honest, I don't know this issue very well. From what I understood, is that you could marry an American citizen and get your green card, which was effectively your path to citizenship. So I don't know if they're just trying to rush this through, and I honestly don't know what that means or why it's a good thing. I mean, people that are married to Americans already have a whole bunch of rights. Like they really do. Like unless they entered here illegally, and maybe that's kind of what it covers. But I was just so bothered by the fact that I feel like he's fixing a problem that isn't a problem. Now, I'm not saying it's not a problem for people in that situation. God bless, man. If that's your situation, good for you. I'm happy for you. But in terms of what the kind of middle of the road American person is dealing with is not that. That is not a problem. It is the flood of migrants that are coming in. And I'm not even opposed to all that. What I am opposed to is the fact that we are kind of funding it, right? It's completely one thing to have people come here and claim asylum, right? I know that Biden shut down a lot of that stuff or limited it to 2,500 or whatever he did. I know that is something that we need to have because there really are some bad places in the world, and this really is not one of them. It's for all of America's problems, it's really probably one of the greatest countries on earth. Maybe not the happiest anymore, but in terms of mobility and what you can do here and what, it's not. It's probably not as great as some of the Scandinavian countries for the way they handle their business, but you can make an argument that America is still the greatest country on earth, and I'd be happy to make that argument with you. But I understand, if people are political, being politically persecuted, yeah, that's why we have asylum. If they're refugees. Like, that's why we have asylum. Like, these are things that are real and things that we've had forever. And there's always going to be, like, isolationists and anti-immigrants that are always going to be like, no, I don't want any immigrants here. And those people are short-sighted and dumb and don't know their history anyway. Because, I mean, the joke is that everybody in America is an immigrant except for the Native Americans that we totally all but wiped out. But, like, if you want to just amuse yourself, like, why don't you Google, like, Irish horde and see what comes up? Because it'll be about, like, the 1890s when the Irish started arriving in New York. And like, in the newspaper, they were like, these filthy animals keep coming to our cities. The Irish, like, the filthy animals? Like, I know that. How do you know that? Like, this... But that's, so that's nothing new. There's always people that just don't like immigrants, that don't like people that are different from themselves. Like, that's always going to be the case. And that's kind of that. But what I don't like is when they're bringing over the migrant workers, and we are basically paying to assimilate them. Like, and if you don't think so, you're mistaken. Like, I understand that we give them cell phones so that we can keep an eye on them, and they can call in for their legalization reports and stuff like that. But here's what I'm thinking. Because migrants, generally speaking, do not go work for the federal government, I don't know why the federal government should be paying to assimilate them. And that's the part that's really bothering me. Like, a lot of the migrants that have come into New York City are gone. Like, because obviously we couldn't handle, like, just constantly adding to it. So Mayor Adams, while I don't think he's been doing a great job, has been rotating people out of the system, which is what he's supposed to do. And he's also been asking for help the entire time. So I don't know how much fault I can lay at his feet, but he doesn't seem to handle a lot very well. So, like, I feel comfortable laying some of the fault and blame at his feet. But my point is that we shelter them, we give them some cell phones, they get some medical attention, they get food, they get all this other stuff. But they don't come work for the state, and they don't come work for the federal government. What they do is they pick up jobs at places that hire. I mean, there was like a 6-month freeze that you couldn't hire anybody. I think they got it to lower to like 3-month freeze. So these are people that are now, a lot of the people that came here earlier are now actually working. I can't say whether or not they're on the books or off the books. You know how many people I know that are bitching about immigrants not paying their taxes and then are paying their immigrants without paying their taxes. Like, so it's like the same people that were picking up all the migrants that at in front of the CVS with the Trump bumper sticker on their car, on their truck, before they picked up all these day laborers that they were going to pay off the books. So, the hypocrisy and the double standards is real in this country. It really is. But my point is, a lot of these people have gone to work for companies, some of them bigger companies, because migrants can actually do and will do like a lot of menial tasks. They work a lot in healthcare. They work a lot in farm and agriculture and big agri. They work a lot at like Amazon and Target and Walmart, places where they can just do basic level shifts. That wasn't the S word, basic level shifts, and do these things. But I don't know why they aren't paying. Like, those companies aren't paying. Like, that sounds like training and hiring. Like, I've said this before, and I mean it now more than ever. I think, Walmart and all of them should just go down to El Paso or McAllen, Texas, or wherever the bigger crossings are, and just set up a big goddamn giant job fair. Like, or if they don't want to do that because it's much cheaper for us to get them assimilated and then they can just go work without the paperwork, you pay us back for that. Like, how about that? Like, I am tired of fueling the need of like workers and coming up with a way to help all these major companies that are making billions of dollars every year. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it's really just kind of bananas that our leaders are allowing this to happen. Now, I understand that these big businesses have a lot of money, and so they can pay for a lot of our leaders. I do understand that, but like some of the common sense stuff here that really should be taking hold is like, where are the Democrats on this? Like, the Democrats should be all over this. Like, it really shouldn't be on the taxpayer to basically recruit and train people to be Americans so they can go work. I understand we need workers, but the bill really shouldn't be mine. And it shouldn't be yours either. And that's really the part I just don't understand. So I got off on a tangent there because Biden said he was going to do something with the path to citizenship for people that are married to Americans. Again, I don't see what advantage that is to anybody but them, so it's probably an election year pander, and that's fine. All sides are doing it, and that's how you win elections these days anyway, because you can make all the promises you want, and then, you don't have to deliver on them. And there was actually just a big, nice expose on Trump and all the stuff that he had promised he was going to do and all the stuff he absolutely did not do. But, of course, none of his followers believe that at all, because all of his followers believe he is simply the second coming. And they're just so wrong. Like, I wish you would just honestly, if you want to vote for Trump, just say why you want to vote for Trump. The latest bullshit about, 34 felonies doesn't bother me. Look, I just paid, $350 in groceries and $80 in gas. You think 34 felons is going to bother me? Yeah, I do think 34 felonies should bother you, because you know what? You can't even serve in the military with a felony. You sure as shit shouldn't be commander-in-chief. And just think about all those jobs you can't get as a felon. I really think that maybe president should be one of them. And even if it legally isn't, the fact that you would consider supporting an actual felon for the job of president in this country tells me absolutely everything I need to know about you, because you're just blindly following some dude because you like him. Like, he's your boyfriend. He's the cool kid in high school, and you're the little dork and the little dweeb, and you just really like him, I guess. I don't know what else it is. That should be a big red flag to you. And even if it isn't, even if you could somehow stupidly get past the fact that he's got all these felonies, if you think about what those felonies are for and you're still supporting him, I mean, seriously, this guy got in trouble. There's not even denying that he banged this porn star. He cheated on his wife and he banged this porn star. They didn't even use a condom. You would think somebody on the right would be upset with that. I don't understand why Mike Johnson, isn't oh my God, this is horrendous. I can't believe we're supporting this, 4-time marrier, 3-time divorcee, several kids from different women, an adulterer, seriously, all these good Christian values that Mike Johnson seems to think are going to be great for the leadership of this country. Well, I mean, obviously it's great because Trump didn't get an abortion and he's not also looking to have an abortion. So I guess everything's kind of okay because, a right to a woman's body should be definitely determined by a man like Mike Johnson or Donald Trump, but that's okay. But any woman trying to get an abortion in Texas, even if it's kind of life-threatening, good luck to your ass. So, anyway, I didn't come here to talk about any of that, unsurprisingly. I actually came here to talk about this, something that's really pissing me off. Why is my Amazon delivery so slow lately? Mainly, it's because Amazon sucks. That's the short answer of it. And there's a lot of systemic problems with it that are just absolute bananas. And it's really funny because I was going to read this whole article, but it's too long, and it only really deals with some of the more obvious reasons that a package would be late or delayed or whatever. And so I decided after printing it and wasting all that paper that it's probably better to just summarize that and then give you my 2 cents before we get into some music. So here's the thing. Amazon, if you don't think Amazon is a monopoly, I think on the technical side of that argument, you're probably correct. But I think you are missing the point and the intent of what monopolistic practice laws are for. The fact that, I think it's over 65% of first searches for items to buy are made on Amazon. That is a huge number, and well over the second, which is Walmart. And that is just, so if you're just starting your shopping at Amazon, you're probably going to stay there. And Amazon is a brilliantly done company. It is the world's largest mall, and once they opened up the marketplace, you can buy anything you want from other sellers. You can, like Tom Segura says, you can get bananas, you can get hammers, and you can get an eagle's beak, and they will just drop that stuff on your doorstep. And that's just a great business model. And it really is. And if I think they were a better company that cared more about you and me, it would be fantastic. And I don't think anybody would have any complaints to it. This article goes to point out, sometimes there's slowdowns because there's bad weather. Sometimes there's capacity. They're just overwhelmed. Their capacity. Things get damaged and lost. They did blame the third-party sellers a lot because they don't have the ability to ship stuff. I got news for you. Third-party sellers are probably doing the best job of anybody because those are people whose small business makes money this way. It's not somebody you just hired for $17 an hour working in the warehouse for a few weeks before you fire them for incompetence. But it's so funny because it does say what you can do to avoid this. You can't do it. It's track your status. I've been told to call my driver a couple of times. I remember when I was flying for work one time, I had ordered a portable humidifier because I just can't handle dry, and it was the winter, and they was like, okay, it'll be there the next day, and then I got the update. You know, everyone's seen those updates, like, oh, sorry, your package is running late. Never mind, it guarantees. It says it like guaranteed, day of, and it's like it was going to arrive there after I already left, and I called them, Amazon. I was like, hey man, can you just cancel this? I'm not going to be able to use it. And they're like, no, we can't cancel it while it's in transit, but you can contact the driver. And I said, well, if I can contact the driver, then you can contact the driver. And they didn't like any of that. Eventually, I just fought with them because I wasn't going to pay to return it because they didn't get it here on time, and they were like, just keep it. And I'm like, fine, thanks. So if anybody needs a portable humidifier, I got one over there. But, Amazon keeps doing this bullshit all the time where, like, they have guarantees. If you're a Prime member, like, you have 2-day guaranteed, and then they just constantly just totally blow right by that. And they don't even care. They don't even care, which is, to me, just, like, you get on and you talk to somebody from Pakistan or India, and they're just reading a script, and it's never them, and you can't really get mad at them. But, like, I've definitely been on the phone with people a couple of times where it's, like, I've had to be transferred to, like, 4 or 5 different people, like, because, like, what I'm wanting is simple. Like, I want them to do the job that they said they were going to do, the job that I paid them to do. Like, you know what happens if I don't do the job I get paid to do? I don't get paid to do that job anymore. And, while I agree that the cost for Prime is probably, like, really right in the pocket, I'm also aware that Amazon jacks up its prices all the time to cover that shipping cost. They just do. Like, and you can check and see it cheaper at other places. And that's just, kind of the way those things work. Sometimes they're cheaper, sometimes they're not. It sort of depends on what they're trying to do. But then, we've got the situation where, like, how many people out there have had their Amazon stuff delivered to wrong houses, right? Like neighbors or completely, down the block and stuff. And they're like, why don't you use an Amazon locker? And I'm like, you want me to just put it in a locker that has a number on it and expect them to get it right? Like, my house has a number on it, and it's way bigger than a locker. It's much harder to move. But they don't seem to care. And they're like, well, why don't you just go to your neighbor's house? Like, maybe my neighbor's a huge Trump supporter and definitely hates people like me. They're not. But they could be. And, like, I'm not going to go over there. Like, are you kidding me? Like, have you met neighbors? They're awful sometimes. But Amazon just keep pushing and pushing and pushing it on you. I had something just the other day. I had ordered a bag of coffee, right? Just a little little cold brew, cold Joe, cold brew coffee, or whatever, my decaf coffee that I drink. And I ordered that, and the top of the bag had been hit with a razor blade. So when they opened the case, they nicked it. When you ever see those boxes that says do not use blades on it, they used the blade on it. So there was just a little nick on it, but it was in one of the plastic bags that they ship their stuff in, and this coffee was all over the inside of the bag. Now, I will say, it was probably the best smelling Amazon package I've had in a few years. So, like, that was enjoyable. But the reality is, like, if I wanted to, like, I could probably use all that coffee out of that bag, but that bag's not super sanitary. And honestly, like, I pay good money for stuff. I kind of want the product I want. So I tried to actually return it and be like it was defective. And the chatbot wouldn't even let me do it because they're like, oh, it's a third party. You can't return it. Sorry. And then it was like, I need help. I need additional help. And they were like, well, why don't you could talk to the manufacturer and see if your defect falls under their warranty. I'm like, open bags is a defect? Like, you're not even trying. Like, the chat AI at Amazon is not, it's A, but it's not I, if you know what I'm saying. So I finally, like, tried to request that talk to somebody, and they're like, we're having technical difficulties. GFU, buddy. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So I actually requested a callback, which is something I hate doing. I hate being on the phone, constantly hate it, always hate it. But I requested a callback, and I got some nice dude from India, and I was like, oh, here's my order, and this was my problem. He's like, oh, you cannot return. Oh, excuse me. You cannot return food, sir. And I'm like, okay, hear me out a second there, Bubba, because you sent me open food. Like, if you sent me a cracked egg, you bet your sweet ass I'd be returning it. Like, and it was like, oh, okay. I was like, he's like, you don't even have to return the other one. I'm like, I know that part. Like, so I just tossed it and stuff. But it was just like the pushback immediately. Like, I ordered something from you. You didn't deliver it properly. I mean, I guess I should be grateful. It got here when I'd said it was going to get here. Also, it got to my house as opposed to any one of my neighbors. I will say I have been doing the deliver all on Amazon Prime Day because I find that very rarely will they get 5 boxes wrong, you know what I mean? So that has seemed to be working for me a little bit better. I very rarely need things next day. It's I think the only thing I can think of recently was really that humidifier, and that was, once this year. I just don't need all that much super often. I try, this is my poor kid mentality, so I'm always highly aware of when I'm, running out of stuff, like batteries and toothpaste and stamps and stuff like that. I don't run out, because it's part of how I grew up, and I'm completely OCD about it, and I guess technically not OCD, but I'm definitely obnoxious about it, and that's cool, because obnoxious definitely fits this to a T. And, like I said, I had more to say to it, but, F Amazon, I'm just tired of them doing the wrong thing. Do better. If you're going to be a multi-billion-dollar company and Bezos is going to pay no income tax, at the very least, try and get my package to my house. No phrasing. Let's get started with some local music, shall we? Hey, anybody heard anything new from Rebel 9 lately?